These last two chapters have essentially just been one anime episode. I mean, legitimately, I feel like these last two episodes literally are, they're just designed to go well into the anime, because really it was Asta showing up, and then he ended up clamping up Nama, and then having this really big cool finisher of the chapter, fighting Lilith, knocking this big attack out of there, and then the teaser for Magna and Zora at the end of it. Like, legitimately, I could just see this episode, like this last chapter and this chapter literally just fitting exactly into one anime episode. But after that point, like, there wasn't a lot going on in this chapter. It was super fast. It was a really fast read chapter, and I think that was it even normal pages? Yeah, it had a pretty. Actually, no, it only had 15 pages this week. But at the same time, I don't think even an extra page or two would have really mattered, because it was way more action and movement, choreography, rather than anything moving the plot along. It's more of just being, set in this fight. This fight is, the full focus of events right now. Like, the chapter begins, Asta chopped Nama in half. I'm really hoping that before Lilith is gone, there's some wording about Zagreus, because I legitimately still think that Zagreus is from a higher floor, but I want to know from them confirmed whether they're stronger than Zagreus or not. And especially after, like, Asta chopped up, like, Asta already defeated the devil. I'm wondering if they're gonna, like, connect that to Zagreus' death. But he just chopped Nama in half and then deflected this giant ice ball that Lilith made. Like, she just makes this giant, just cold orb out above the Spade Kingdom. And the thing is, like, it was a little unfortunate for, like, Lilith, is because the Spade Kingdom is already covered in snow. And so I feel like that there wasn't any way to really demonstrate how powerful it was with its freezing capabilities. Unless the next chapter, when Asta smacks it out into the sky, that maybe it explodes and does something, like maybe it freezes the clouds, causes all the clouds to snow or something. Other than that, like, Lilith's attack got kind of like screwed, because say it was Lilith that got cut in half and then Nama's the one that absorbed her, and it went fire instead of ice magic for this spell, then maybe she could have just it could have like melted the snow or something. Because though this fuse version still had the fire, I would assume that Lilith is still the primary of this devil. Because if the spell was more heat based, let's say like it was more of a fire spell, then obviously, like I said, the ice would have melted. There was nothing going on that really did anything with it other than it was just a really big spell. Like, it could have just fallen down and completely crushed the Spade Capital. I actually want to know how big it is. I'd have to look into trying to figure out how big the Spade Castle is. It's probably like a good mile or two just straight apart. Like, it's a pretty big attack. But it's, like, I don't know if it would have, like, if it exploded, like, it maybe would do some freezing attack that would be much larger scale than just, like, its general size. But I think any form of further hype for this spell in general is going to depend on the beginning of the next chapter, if it, like, explodes and we see damage just, like, in the distance. Just think of any scene where somebody throws an explosive, far out right before it explodes, and, the explosion is seen off the distance. What was it? And, like, a Dark Knight Rises, and then, something like that. I don't know that there was, like, a scene of that in the new Justice League, actually. I think wasn't the Joss Whedon one, too? Wonder Woman throws an explosive, like, way in the sky. Essentially what Asta's doing with this is with a big magic version. But Asta, like, making his black divider super huge, I thought that was just generally pretty cool. That's something I've been wanting to see for a bit, like, how big he can actually make his black divider. Because black divider's whole gimmick is really underutilized, but it's still super... It has the potential to be the best one, to be even, like, more of a super usage tool than any of his other ones. Because he has, like, the Demon Destroyer and just, like, pulse and take out magic in an area. You have the Demon Dweller that's able to absorb magic. But the thing about the Demon Slayer sword is, as long as Asta makes it bigger, it's going to be more and more and more useful. Because even if it, in this panel, like, if he's using it against the spell, think about the fact that literally if he put it up at the size, that's literally just that big of a wall of magic negation. So most characters aren't going to get past that. He has this massive range weapon that is also pretty much a shield against a lot of these characters. I thought that was just pretty cool in general. Lilith, I'm curious to know with her what she's gonna do after this, because like all she did in this chapter was pretty much fuse with Nama and then go in the air and make this spell, and then it was Asta flying up to deal with it. There wasn't much progression from her character as well. I'm very curious with what exactly Tabata wants to do with any of these double large scale, but I think personally think that with Lilith and Nama, with their current display, how they're going in the fights, like I don't think that they're going to last unless Lilith runs. Like Lilith's options are Asta pops out of this Devil Union right before he's about to kill her, or she ends up running away. Other than that, they're probably gonna die, and I'm just hoping there's some devil that gets away, that escapes this whole thing, that just like when it comes out it just says, yeah, this isn't looking good, goes, and then has like its own stuff going on, maybe with Morris. But Lilith, I mean, like, Lilith and Nama have not been really doing as well as I was hoping they were going to be. Like, they have, like, a pretty good set of magic for them, but when the bar is set with Zagrid, Zagrid's whole thing, on top of being really powerful, was being very smart and being cunning and devious. His level of intelligence and usage of magic is pretty much where I want the devils to be at, like the big devils. Because you can be powerful, but look at Nama. Nama got cut in half. Nama was a classic example of early Black Clover, when we had a character who was more powerful than the main cast, but because they underestimated Asta, and the characters were able to figure out a strategy around them to get the anti-magic kit, they were able to defeat them. Nama just had that same kind of vibe, whereas with Zagrid, and I would assume Megicula is clearly very smart. We don't really know anything about a lot of the other devils, but the big thing of the devils, they need to be super well experienced and cunning with their magic, I think, regardless of like how OP their magic is. I want to see each of them be really just dangerous to fight against, like really hard to work around. Not like Lilith and Nama, where for the most part they just are really powerful and they don't fight intelligently at all. Like, they are bad at fighting. I guess like you can come up with the whole fact that they are on the first floor, the weakest floor. They're not really fighting very often. They're just torturing weaker beings. Maybe that's the reason they're like this. Like, I'd be perfectly okay with that was the case. I'm just hoping for future devils. Like, for the most part with Lilith and Nama, I assumed they were just going to be measuring stick characters. I didn't think anything really crazy was going to happen with them. Just because they were the first gate and there was two of them. They had elemental magic, and Tabata has only really been kind to a couple people with basic elemental magic within his series, because usually when he's going to give people a bit more spotlight, he gives them a weirder magic, or just weirder ability, or they're arcane or something. We haven't really, I granted, like, Lilith and Nama are very powerful, but that's all they had. They didn't have really anything beyond just, we're really strong, we have OP magic, but like they fought like idiots. And Asta like made short work of Nama. Like, we've seen characters that don't even come close to this level of broken ability, but they're smart in how they fight. Look at Lotus. And before anyone says like tries to bring up power level gaps, you have to keep in mind where these characters were compared to Asta back then. It's the characters that just fought really stupidly. Asta's always been able to get around. Like, characters who just rely on their level of hacks and just like trickiness or abilities, that's like the go-to like for him to work on. It's the characters who fight intelligently have always been more of a problem for Asta. And you can use that both for wizards throughout the series or devils, because we have the Zagrid fight. Smart characters, it's way more risky for him to go, whereas like someone like Nama, who's just running right into him, he's able just to work around like no problem, because it's just a two system clap. Bring out the Demon Destroyer, turn off your magic, cut him in half when he gets close. Like, easy to do. Like, Asta didn't seem worked up at all from these guys. I'm hoping that whatever devil comes next is going to be a lot, just generally a lot more cunning, like way more versatile with their magic, and able to use it in a way, in a way that would just make it hard for Asta or any of these characters to fight. Because we know anti-magic potent, it can cancel out magic to some degrees. We know aspects of its limitations and times where Asta's to fight differently. Obviously with this one, like having to hit this big ice ball out instead of cutting it, because if he cut it, he wouldn't have been able to nullify the magic within it before it just fell to the ground and probably killed everybody. So he hit it out in the sky instead. But yeah, it's not really going to matter if we just keep having guys who just rush in. We need more of a strategizer. I think really is just the base route. We need more strategically based fighters in this. And that's what I was hoping the Devils were, and why, like, when I saw Lilith and Nama just fighting the way they did, I was like, yeah, they're just going to be measuring sticks. But anyway, other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the video, front like button, subscribe button. There wasn't a lot to talk about this chapter. It's really what my hopes are for coming up the next chapter, and there was part that I wanted to leave out saying, because I'm going to do it for my chapter review, because I didn't do one for this chapter, because I didn't really have any predictions of what's going to happen, but I do have a prediction of what's going to happen in the next chapter, so I'm going to do that one and put it out this week. Anyway, other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the video, tell me what your opinions are on this chapter was, if there's anything that crazy for you to stand out. I thought it was just, a cool conclusion to this whole moment of him fighting these devils. And then, however, he's going to defeat Lilith probably in the next chapter. But right now, the first gate, it should be settled. They should have this down. They should be trying to focus on getting the information about Morris and taking out the Dark Tribe to at least slow down the process or get it back to on the regular pacing that they had. But anyway, other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend, like, button, subscribe button, check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everybody's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.